Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you, General. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you. Please. Thank you so much. Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, members of Congress and the Cabinet, Justices of the Supreme Court, my fellow Americans. Last year, COVID-19 kept us apart. This year, we're finally together again. Tonight, we meet as Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, but most importantly, as Americans, with the duty to one another, to America, to the American people, to the Constitution, and an unwavering resolve that freedom will always triumph over tyranny. Thank you. 6 days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people. And President Zelensky, to every Ukrainian, their fearlessness, their courage, their determination literally inspires the world. Groups of citizens blocking tanks with their bodies, everyone from students to retirees to teachers, turned soldiers defending their homeland. And in this struggle, President Zelensky said in his speech to the European Parliament, "Light will win over darkness." The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here tonight, sitting with the First Lady. Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's bright, she's strong, and she's resolved. Yes, we, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the cost, the threats to America and America to the world keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations. It matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how he would try to falsify and justify his aggression. We countered Russia's lies with the truth. And now that he's acted, the free world is holding him accountable, along with 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others. Even Switzerland are inflicting pain on Russia and supporting the people of Ukraine. Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been. Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks from the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless. We're choking Russia's access. To technology that will sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Tonight, I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who bilked billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more. The United States, I mean it. The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for your ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy.
Oh, shit.
He has no idea what's coming. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value. The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value, and trading remains suspended. The Russian economy is reeling, and Putin alone is the one to blame. Together with our allies, we're providing support to the Ukrainians in their fight for freedom. Military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more than $1 billion of direct assistance to Ukraine, and will continue to aid the Ukrainian people as they defend their country and help ease their suffering.
$1 billion? Unbelievable. Unfucking.
But let me be clear. Our forces are not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west. For that purpose, we have mobilized American ground forces, air squadrons, ship deployments to protect NATO countries including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear, the United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. Every single inch.
Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up.
And we're clear-eyed. The Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage. But the next few days, weeks, and months will be hard on them. Putin has unleashed violence and chaos. But while he may make gains on the battlefield, he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run. And pound of Ukrainian people, the proud, proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have. They've known 30 years of independence, have repeatedly shown that they will not tolerate anyone who tries to take their country backwards. To all Americans, I'll be honest with you, as I always promised I would be. A Russian dictator invading a foreign country has cost around the world. And I'm taking robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy and that we use every tool at our disposal to protect American businesses and consumers. Tonight, I can announce the United States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves around the world. America will lead that effort, releasing 30 million barrels of our own strategic petroleum reserve. And we stand ready to do more if necessary, united with our allies. These steps will help blunt gas prices here at home, but I know news about what's happening can seem alarming to all Americans. But I want you to know we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. When the history of this era is written, Putin's war in Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. While it shouldn't have taken something so terrible for people around the world to see what's at stake, now everyone sees it clearly. We see the unity among leaders of nations, a more unified Europe, a more unified West. We see unity among the people who are gathering in cities and large crowds around the world, even in Russia, to demonstrate their support for the people of Ukraine. In the battle between democracy and autocracies, democracies are rising to the moment, and the world is clearly choosing the side of peace and security. This is the real test, and it's going to take time. So let us continue to draw inspiration from the iron will of the Ukrainian people. To our fellow Ukrainian Americans who forged the deep bond that connects our two nations, we stand with you. We stand with you. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never weaken the resolve of the free world. We meet tonight in an America that has lived through two of the hardest years this nation has ever faced. The pandemic has been punishing, and so many families are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to keep up with the rising cost of food, gas, housing, and so much more. I understand, like many of you did. My dad had to leave his home in Scranton, Pennsylvania to find work. So like many of you, I grew up in a family when the price of food went up, it was felt throughout the family. It had an impact. That's when one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan. Because people were hurting. We needed to act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis. It fueled our efforts to vaccinate the nation and combat COVID-19. Delivered immediate economic relief to tens of millions of Americans. It helped put food on the table. Remember those long lines of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk. It cut the cost of health care insurance. And as my dad used to say, it gave the people just a little bit of breathing room. Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. Folks, and it worked. It worked. It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6 12.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America. The economy grew at a rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years. And the first step in bringing fundamental change to our economy that hasn't worked for working people in this nation for too long. For the past 40 years, we were told that tax break for those at the top and benefits would trickle down and everyone would benefit. But that trickle-down theory led to a weaker economic growth, lower wages, bigger deficits, and a widening gap between the top and everyone else in nearly a century. Look, Vice President Harris and I ran for office, and I realize we have fundamental disagreements on this, but ran for office with a new economic vision for America. Invest in America, educate Americans, grow the workforce, build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down, because we know when the middle class grows, the poor have a way up and the wealthy do very well. America used to have the best roads, bridges, and airports on earth, and now our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. We won't be able to compete for the jobs of the 21st century if we don't fix it. That's why it was so important to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law. And I thank my Republican friends who joined to invest and rebuild America, the single biggest investment in history. It was a bipartisan effort, and I want to thank the members of both parties who worked to make it happen. We're done talking about infrastructure weeks. We're now talking about an infrastructure decade. And look, it's going to transform America, to put us on a path to win the economic competition of the 21st century that we face with the rest of the world, particularly China. I've told Xi Jinping it's never been a good bet to bet against the American people. We'll create good jobs for millions of Americans, modernizing roads, airports, ports, waterways, all across America. And we'll do it to withstand the devastating effects of climate change and promote environmental justice. We'll build a national network of 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Begin to replace the poisonous lead pipes so every child, every American has clean water to drink at home and at school. We're going to provide affordable, high-speed internet for every American, rural, suburban, urban, and tribal communities. 4,000 projects have already been announced. Many of you have announced them in your districts. And tonight, I'm announcing that this year, we will start fixing over 65,000 miles of highway and 1,500 bridges in disrepair. And folks, when we use taxpayers' dollars to rebuild America, we're going to do it by buying America. Buy American products. Support American jobs.
You know it's all bullshit, right?
The federal government spends about $600 billion a year to keep this country safe and secure. There's been a law on the books for almost a century to make sure taxpayers' dollars support American jobs and businesses. Every administration, Democrat and Republican, says they'll do it, but we're actually doing it. We'll buy America to make sure everything from the deck of an aircraft carrier to the steel on highway guardrails is made in America from beginning to end. All of it. All of it. But folks, to compete for the jobs of the future, we also need a level playing field with China and other competitors. That's why it's so important to pass the Bipartisan Innovation Act sitting in Congress that will make record investments in emerging technologies and American manufacturing. We used to invest almost 2% of our GDP in research and development. We don't now. Can't. China is. Let me give you one example why it's so important to pass. If you travel 20 miles east of Columbus, Ohio, you'll find 1,000 empty acres of land. It won't look like much, but if you stop and look closely, you'll see a field of dreams, the ground on which America's future will be built. That's where Intel, the American company that helped build Silicon Valley, is going to build a $20 billion semiconductor megasite, up to 8 state-of-the-art factories in one place, 10,000 new jobs. And in those factories, the average job about $135,000 a year. Some of the most sophisticated manufacturing in the world to make computer chips the size of a fingertip that power the world in everyday lives, from smartphones, technology to the internet, technology that's yet to be invented. But that's just the beginning. Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, who was here tonight, I don't know where Pat is. Pat, there you go, Pat, stand up.
Put the clown emoji in the chat, friends. Put the clown emoji in the chat. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Pat came to see me, and he told me they're ready to increase their investment from $20 billion to $100 billion. That would be the biggest investment in manufacturing in American history. And all they're waiting for is for you to pass this bill. So let's not wait any longer. Send it to my desk, I'll sign it, and we'll really take off in a big way. And folks, Intel is not alone. There's something happening in America. Just look around and you'll see an amazing story. The rebirth of pride that comes from stamping products made in America. The revitalization of American manufacturing. Companies are choosing to build new factories here when just a few years ago they would have gone overseas. That's what's happening. Ford is investing $11 billion in electric vehicles, creating 11,000 jobs across the country. GM is making the largest investment in its history, $7 billion to build electric vehicles, creating 4,000 jobs in Michigan. All told, 369,000 new manufacturing jobs were created in America last year alone. Folks, powered by people I've met like JoJo Burgess from generations of union steelworkers in Pittsburgh, who's here tonight. Where are you, JoJo? There you go. Thanks, buddy. As Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown says,
Tokenization.
as Sherrod Brown says, it's time to bury the label Rust Belt. It's time to see the what used to be called the Rust Belt become the home of a significant resurgence of manufacturing.
Field of dreams.
And with all the bright spots in our economy, record job growth, higher wages, too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills. Inflation is robbing them of gains they thought otherwise they would be able to feel. I get it. That's why my top priority is getting prices under control. Look, our economy roared back faster than almost anyone predicted. But the pandemic meant that businesses had a hard time hiring enough people because of the pandemic to keep up production in their factories. So you didn't have people making those beams that went into buildings because they were out. The factory was closed.
What?
The panic also disrupted the global supply chain. Factories close. When that happens, it takes longer to make goods and get them to the warehouses, to the stores, and prices go up. Look at cars last year. 1/3 of all the inflation was because of automobile sales. There weren't enough semiconductors to make all the cars that people wanted to buy. And guess what? Prices of automobiles went way up, especially used vehicles as well. And so we have a choice. One way to fight inflation is to drive down wages and make Americans poorer. I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages. And folks,
God damn it. We still don't have a $15 minimum wage that he promised. He promised that. We still don't have it. It's not coming.
that means make more cars and semiconductors in America, more infrastructure and innovation in America, more goods moving faster and cheaper in America, more jobs where you can earn a good living in America. Instead of relying on foreign supply chains, let's make it in America. Look, economists,
oh my God, what is this? A Trump rally?
Call this increasing the productive capacity of our economy. I call it building a better America.
Oh, he's got COVID.
My plan to fight inflation will lower your costs and lower the deficit. 17 Nobel laureates in economics said my plan will ease long-term inflationary pressures. Top business leaders, and I believe most Americans support the plan. And here's the plan. First, cut the cost of prescription drugs. We pay more for the same drug produced by the same company in America than any other country in the world. Just
Who
look
allowed
at
that to
insulin.
happen? Who allowed that to happen?
1 in 10 Americans has diabetes. In Virginia, I met a 13-year-old boy, the handsome young man standing up there, Joshua Davis. He and his dad both have type 1 diabetes, which means they need insulin every single day. Insulin costs about $10 a vial to make. That's what it costs the pharmaceutical company. But drug companies charge families like Joshua and his dad up to 30 times that amount. I spoke with Joshua's mom. Imagine what it's like to look at your child who needs insulin to stay healthy and have no idea how in God's name you're going to be able to pay for it. What it does to your family, but what it does to your dignity, your ability to look your child in the eye, to be the parent you expect yourself to be. I really mean to think about that. That's what I think about. You know, yesterday, Joshua's here tonight, but yesterday was his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy, by the way. For Joshua and 200,000 other young people with type 1 diabetes, let's cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month so everyone can afford it. And drug companies will do very, very well. Their profit margin.
Keep clapping, Kaz. That shit's not going to happen.
I know we have great disagreements on this floor with this. Let's let Medicare negotiate the price of prescription drugs. They already set the price for VA drugs. Look, the American Rescue Plan is helping millions of families with Affordable Care Act plans to save them $2,400 a year on their health premiums. Let's close the coverage gap and make these savings permanent. And second, let's cut energy costs for families, an average of $500 a year by combating climate change. Let's provide an investment tax credits to weatherize your home and your business, to be energy efficient and get a tax credit for it. Double America's clean energy production in solar, wind, and so much more. Lower the price of electric vehicles, saving another $80 a month that you're not going to have to pay at the pump. Folks.
Yes, yes. That's what we want to see at the Bronx.
The third thing we can do to change the standard of living for hardworking folks is cut the cost of child care. Cut the cost of child care. Folks, if you live in a major city in America, you pay up to $14,000 a year for child care per child. I was a single dad for 5 years, raising 2 kids. I had a lot of help, though. I had a mom, a dad, a brother, and a sister that really helped. But middle class and working folks shouldn't have to pay more than 7% of their income to care for the young children. My plan would cut the cost of child care in half for most families.
What plan? It's so
And
good.
help parents, including millions of women who left the workforce during the pandemic because they couldn't afford child care, to be able to get back to work, generating economic growth. But my plan doesn't stop there. It also includes home and long-term care, more affordable housing, pre-K for 3- and 4-year-olds. All these will lower costs for families. And under my plan, nobody, let me say this again, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in new taxes. Not a single penny. I may be wrong, but my guess is if we took a secret ballot in this floor, that we'd all agree that the present tax system ain't fair. We have to fix it. I'm not looking to punish anybody, but let's make corporations and wealthy Americans start paying their fair share. Look,
It's all unprotected.
last year,
Oh my God, who brought Warren back?
last year, and like Chris Coons and Tom Carper and my distinguished Congresswoman, we come from the land of corporate America. There are more corporations incorporated in America than every other state in America combined. And I still won 36 years in a row. The point is, even they understand they should pay just a fair share. Last year, 55 of the Fortune 500 companies earned $40 billion in profit and paid zero in federal taxes. Now look, it's not fair.
Who let that
That's why I
happen?
proposed a 15% minimum tax rate for corporations.
Yeah, you propose shit, but
got-
nothing gets passed, nothing gets done. He's been in
that's why
fucking Congress for
In
40
the
years
G7 and
already.
other meetings overseas, we're able to put together, I was able to be somewhat helpful, 130 countries agree on a global minimum tax rate. So companies can't get out of paying their taxes at home by shipping jobs and factories overseas. It'll raise billions of dollars. That's why I propose closing loopholes for the very wealthy who pay a lower tax rate than a teacher and a firefighter. So that's my plan, but we will go in more detail later. We will grow the economy, lower the cost of families. So
It sounds
what
like
are
a
we
car
waiting
salesman.
for? Let's get this done. We all know we've got to make changes.
We gotta go to the details later. Just later, we got it. Don't worry about it.
Folks, and while you're at it, confirm my nominees for the Federal Reserve, which plays a critical role in fighting inflation. My plan will not only lower costs and give families a fair shot, it will lower the deficit. The previous administration not only ballooned the deficit with those tax cuts for the very wealthy and corporations, it undermined the watchdogs, the job of those to keep pandemic relief funds being wasted. Remember we had those debates about whether or not those watchdogs should be able to see every day how much money was being spent, where was it going to the right place? But in my administration, the watchdogs are back. And we're going to go after the criminals who stole billions of relief money meant for small business and millions of Americans. Tonight, I'm announcing that the Justice Department will soon name a chief prosecutor for pandemic fraud.
Pandemic fraud.
And look,
You're gonna go after fucking Newsom? That's not gonna happen. Newsom got
I
a
think we
fuck ton
all
of that
agree.
money. They
Thank
need
you.
that money.
By the end of this year, the deficit will be down to less than half of what it was before I took office. The only president ever to cut the deficit petition. I'm a capitalist, but capitalism without competition is not capitalism. Capitalism without competition is exploitation. It drives up profits. And corporations have to compete. Their profits go up and your prices go up when they don't have to compete. Small businesses and family farmers and ranchers, I need not tell some of my Republican friends from those states. Guess what? You got 4 basic meat packing facilities. That's it. You play with them or you don't get to play at all.
What?
And you pay a hell of a lot more. A hell of a lot more because there's only 4. See what's happening with ocean carriers and moving goods in and out of America.
What is he talking
During
about?
the pandemic, about half a dozen or less foreign-owned companies raised prices by as much as 1,000% and made record profits. Tonight, I'm announcing a crackdown on those companies overcharging American businesses and consumers. And folks,
That's your meat packer right here.
and as Wall Street firms take over more nursing homes, quality in those homes has gone down and costs have gone up. That ends on my watch. Medicare is going to set higher standards for nursing homes and make sure your loved ones get the care they deserve and that they inspect and they will look at closely. We're also going to cut costs to keep the economy going strong and giving workers a fair shot, provide more training and apprenticeships, hire them based on skills, not just their degrees. Let's pass the Paycheck Fairness Act and paid leave.
It's like he's campaigning.
Raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
We need to do this. We need to do that.
Extend the
We're supposed to talk
child
about
tax
what
credit
you've done
so
already.
no one has to raise a family in poverty. Let's increase Pell Grants, increase our historic support for HBCUs, and invest
Who is that? Somebody tell me who
in
is
what
that?
Jill, our
Who is
First Lady who teaches full-time, calls America's best-kept secret, community colleges. Look, let's pass the PRO Act. When a majority of workers want to form a union, they shouldn't be able to
That's
be
his keeper
stopped.
right there. That's his caregiver right there.
When we invest in our workers and we build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out together, we can do something we haven't done in a long time. Build a better America. For more than 2 years, COVID has impacted every decision in our lives and the life of this nation. And I know you're tired, frustrated, and exhausted. That doesn't even count the close to 1 million people who sit at a dining room table or a kitchen table and look at an empty chair because they lost somebody. But I also know this, because of the progress we've made, because of your resilience and the tools that we have been provided by this Congress, tonight I can say we're moving forward safely back to more normal routines. We've reached a new moment in the fight against COVID-19, where severe cases are down to a level not seen since July of last year. Just a few days ago, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention issued a new mask guidelines. Under the new guidelines, most Americans and most of the country can now go mask-free. And based on projections, more of the country will reach a point across the next couple of weeks. And thanks to the progress we've made in the past year, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives.
Oh, yeah, by the way, no
I know
one's wearing
some are
masks in
talking
the
about
damn
living
State
with
of the Union.
COVID-19. But tonight, I say that we never will just accept living with COVID-19. We'll continue to combat the virus as we do other diseases. And because this virus mutates and spreads, we have to stay on guard. And here are 4 common sense steps as we move forward safely, in my view. First, stay protected with vaccines and treatments. We know how incredibly effective vaccines are.
What
If you're
treatments?
vaccinated and boosted, you have the highest degree of protection. We'll never give up on vaccinating more Americans. Now, I know parents with kids under 5 are eager to see their vaccines authorized for their children. Scientists are working hard to get that done. We'll be ready with plenty of vaccines if and when they do. We're all ready. We are also ready with antiviral treatments. If you get COVID-19, the Pfizer pill reduces your chances of ending up in the hospital by 90%.
Pfizer pill?
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world has. Pfizer is working overtime to get us 1 million pills this month and more than double that next month. And now we're launching the Test
Go
to Treat
Pfizer. Go
initiative.
big corporation
So people can get
Pfizer.
tested at a pharmacy, and if they prove positive, receive the antiviral pills on the spot at no cost.
Brought to you by Pfizer. This State of the Union brought to you by Pfizer.
If you're If you're immunocompromised or have some other vulnerability, we have treatments and free high-quality masks. We're leaving no one behind or ignoring anyone's needs as we move forward. On testing, we've made hundreds of millions of tests available, and you can order them for free to your doorstep. And we've already ordered free tests. If you already ordered free tests tonight, I'm announcing you can order another group of tests. Go to covidtest.gov starting next week, and you can get more tests.
Oh, hold on.
Second, we must prepare for new variants. Over the past, we've gotten much better at detecting new variants. If necessary, we'll be able to develop new vaccines within 100 days instead of maybe months or years. And if Congress provides the funds we need, we'll have new stockpiles of tests, masks, pills ready if needed. I can't promise a new variant won't come, but I can promise you we'll do everything within our power to be ready if it does. Third, we can end the shutdown of schools and businesses. We have the tools we need. It's time for America to get back to work and fill our great downtowns again with people. People working from home can feel safe and begin to return to their offices. We're doing that here in the federal government. The vast majority of federal workers will once again work in person. Our schools are open. Let's keep it that way. Our kids need to be in school.
Now they're pro-Oprah. COVID's over.
With 75% of adult Americans fully vaccinated and hospitalizations down by 77%, most Americans can remove their masks and stay in the classroom and move forward safely. We achieved this because we provided free vaccines, treatments, tests, and masks. Of course, continuing this costs money, so I'll not surprise you. I'll be back to see you all. And I'm going to soon send a request to Congress. The vast majority of Americans have used these tools and may want again. We may need them again, so I expect Congress, and I hope you'll pass that quickly. Fourth, we'll continue vaccinating the world. We've sent 475 million vaccine doses to 112 countries, more than any nation on earth. We won't stop. Because you can't build a wall high enough to keep out a vaccine. The vaccine can stop the spread of these diseases. You know, we've lost so much in COVID-19. Time with one another. The worst of all, much loss of life. Let's use this moment to reset. So stop looking at COVID as a partisan dividing line. See it for what it is. A god-awful disease. Let's stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing each other for who we are, fellow Americans. Look.
Hey, do y'all remember when, look at Kamala, so proud of Joe. Hey, remember this?
We can't change how divided we've been. It was a long time in coming. But we can change how to move forward on COVID-19 and other issues that we must face together. I recently visited New York City Police Department days after the funerals of Officer Wilbur Mora and his partner, Officer Jason Rivera.
It's all a show.
They were responding to a 9/11 call when a man shot and killed them with a stolen gun. Officer Mora was 27 years old. Officer Rivera was 22 years old. Both Dominican Americans who grew up in the same streets that they later chose to patrol as police officers. I spoke with their families, and I told them that we were forever in debt for their sacrifices and will carry on their mission to restore the trust and safety of every community deserves. Like some of you that have been around for a while, I've worked with you on these issues for a long time. I know what works. Investigating crime prevention and community policing, cops who walk the beat, who know the neighborhood, and who can restore trust and safety. Let's not abandon our streets or choose between safety and equal justice. Let's come together and protect our communities, restore trust, and hold law enforcement accountable. That's why the Justice Department has required body cameras, banned chokeholds, and restricted no-knock warrants for its officers. That's why the American Rescue Plan that you all provided $350 billion that cities, states, and counties can use to hire more police, invest in more proven strategies.
Invest in police. That's what we need. More investment in police.
Like,
out of all the things he said, he's probably going to be doing that.
proven strategies like community violence interruption, trusted messengers, breaking the cycle of violence and trauma, and giving young people some hope. We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police.
Oh, no.
Fund them.
Oh, no. Hey.
Fund them.
Hey, Skinny Jean left. Where you at? Skinny Jean left. Where you at?
Fund them with resources and training. Resources and training they need to protect our communities. I ask Democrats and Republicans alike to pass my budget and keep our neighborhoods safe. And we'll do everything in my power to crack down on gun trafficking of ghost guns that you can buy online, assemble at home, no serial numbers, can't be traced. I ask Congress to pass proven measures to reduce gun violence. Pass universal background checks. Why should anyone on the terrorist list be able to purchase a weapon? Why? Why? And folks,
who's that?
ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines that hold up to 100 rounds. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests? Look, repeal the liability shield that makes gun manufacturers the only industry in America that can't be sued. The only one. Imagine had we done that with the tobacco manufacturers. These laws don't infringe on the Second Amendment. They save lives. The most fundamental right in America is the right to vote and have it counted.
Oh, here we go.
And look, it's under assault.
It's under
In state after state, new laws have been passed. Not only to suppress the vote, we've been there before, but to subvert the entire election. We can't let this happen. Tonight I call on the Senate to pass the Freedom to Vote Act, pass the John Lewis Act, Voting Rights Act. And while you're at it, pass the Disclose Act so Americans know who's funding our election. Look, tonight, I like to honor someone who dedicated his life to serve this country. Justice Breyer, an Army veteran, constitutional scholar, retiring Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Justice Breyer, thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean it. Get up, stand, let them see you. Thank you.
Fuck you.
And we all know, no matter what your ideology, we all know one of the most serious constitutional responsibilities a president has is nominating someone to serve on the United States Supreme Court. As I did 4 days ago, I've nominated the Circuit Court of Appeals, Ketanji Brown Jackson, one of our nation's top legal minds, who continue in Justice Breyer's legacy of excellence.
He's a war criminal.
A former top litigator in private practice, a former federal public defender, from a family of public school educators and police officers. She's a consensus builder. Since she's been nominated, she's received a broad range of support, including the Fraternal Order of Police and former judges supported by Democrats and Republicans. Folks, if we're to advance liberty and justice, we need to secure our border and fix the immigration system.
Secure the border. It sounds like Trump. Look, Ted Cruz is standing. What's the difference between Democrats and Republicans? What's the difference? What's the difference? Before it was kids in cages. Now it's we need to secure the border.
As you might guess, I think we can do both. At our border, we've installed new technology like cutting-edge scanners to better detect drug smuggling. We've set up joint patrols with Mexico and Guatemala to catch more human traffickers. We're putting in place dedicated immigration judges, a significant larger number, so families fleeing persecution and violence can have their cases heard faster, and those who don't legitimately hear can be sent back. We're screening, we're securing commitments, and supporting partners in South and Central America to host more refugees and secure their own borders. We can do all this while keeping lit the torch of liberty that has led a generation of immigrants to this land, my forebears and many of yours. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, those with temporary status, farm workers, essential workers. Revise our laws.
Revise all the laws.
So businesses have workers they need, and families don't wait decades to reunite. It's not only the right thing to do, it's economically smart thing to do. That's why the immigration reform is supported by everyone from labor unions to religious leaders to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Let's get it done once and for all. Folks, advancing liberty and justice also requires protecting the rights of women. The constitutional right affirmed by Roe v. Wade, standing precedent for half a century, is under attack as never before. If you want to go forward, not backwards, we must protect access to health care, preserve a woman's right to choose, and continue to advance maternal health care for all Americans. And folks, for our LGBTQ plus Americans, let's finally get the Bipartisan Equality Act to my desk. The onslaught of state laws targeting transgender Americans and their families, it's simply wrong. And I said last year, especially to our younger transgender Americans, I'll always have your back as your president so you can be yourself and reach your God-given potential. Folks, as I've just demonstrated, while it often appears we do not agree, and that we do agree on a lot more things than we acknowledge. I signed 80 bipartisan bills into law last year, from preventing government shutdowns, to protecting Asian Americans from still too common hate crimes, to reforming military justice, and will soon be strengthening the Violence Against Women Act that I first wrote 3 decades ago. And it's important. It's important for us to show the nation we can come together and do big things. So tonight I'm offering a unity agenda for the nation. 4 big things we can do together, in my view. First, beat the opioid epidemic. There's so much we can do. Increase funding for prevention, treatment, harm reduction and recovery. Get rid of outdated rules and stop doctors stop doctors from prescribing treatments. Stop the flow of illicit drugs by working with state and local law enforcement to go after the traffickers. And if you're suffering from addiction, you should know you're not alone.
Give them the crack packs.
I believe in recovery, and I celebrate the 23 million Americans in recovery. Second, let's take on mental health, especially among our children whose lives and education have been turned upside down. The American Rescue Plan gave schools money to hire teachers and help students make up for lost learning. I urge every parent to make sure your school does just that. They have the money. We can all play a part. Sign up to be a tutor or a mentor. Children were also struggling before the pandemic: bullying, violence, trauma, and the harms of social media. As Frances Haugen, who is here tonight with us, has shown, we must hold social media platforms accountable for the national experiment they're conducting on our children for profit.
Wow. More censorship coming.
Folks, thank you. Thank you for the courage you showed. It's time to strengthen privacy protections. Ban targeted advertising to children. Demand tech companies stop collecting personal data on our children. And let's get all Americans the mental health services they need. More people can turn for help, and full parity between physical and mental health care if we treat it that way in our insurance.
I just don't believe he's going to do any of that.
Look,
Talk a big game, but none of that shit's going to happen. None of
the
that shit's
third
gonna
piece
happen.
of that agenda is support our veterans. Veterans are the backbone and the spine of this country. They're the best of us.
Oh, so they show
I've
the
always
generals.
believed that we have a sacred obligation to equip those we send to war and care for those in their family when they come home. My administration is providing assistance in job training, housing, and now helping lower-income veterans get VA care debt-free. And our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan have faced many dangers, one being stationed at bases breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. Many of you have been there. I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 40 times.
What?
These burn pits that incinerate waste, the waste of war, medical and hazardous material, jet fuel, and so much more. And they come home. Many of the world's fittest and best trained warriors in the
definitely on
world.
something.
Never the same. Headaches, numbness, dizziness. A cancer that would put them in a flag-draped coffin. I know. One of those soldiers was my son, Major Bo Biden. I don't know for sure if the burn pit that he
Talk
lived
that
near,
shit.
that
Talk
his
that shit.
hooch was near, in Iraq and earlier than that in Kosovo, is the cause of his brain cancer, the disease of so many other troops. But I am committed to find out everything we can, committed to military families like Danielle Robinson from Ohio, the widow of Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson. He was born a soldier, Army National Guard, combat medic in Kosovo and Iraq, stationed near Baghdad, just yards from burn pits the size of football fields. Danielle is here with us tonight. They love going to Ohio State football games.
Why were they sent to fucking the Middle East in the first place, dude? Come on. Come on.
And he loved building Legos with their daughter. But cancer from prolonged exposure to burn pits ravaged Heath's lungs and body. Danielle says Heath was a fighter to the very end. He didn't know how to stop fighting, and neither did she. Through her pain, she found purpose to demand that we do better. Tonight, Danielle, we are going to do better. The VA is pioneering new ways of linking toxic exposure to disease, already helping more veterans get benefits. And tonight, I'm announcing we're expanding eligibility to veterans suffering from 9 respiratory cancers. I'm also calling on Congress to pass a law to make sure veterans devastated by toxic exposure in Iraq and Afghanistan finally get the benefits and the comprehensive health care they deserve.
What is Nancy standing up already?
And fourth and last, let's end cancer as we know it. This is personal.
This is personal. Oh, God.
This is personal to me and to Jill and to Kamala and so many of you. So many of you have lost someone you love. Husband, wife, son, daughter, mom, dad. Cancer is the #2 cause of death in America, second only to heart disease. Last month, I announced the plan to supercharge the cancer moonshot that President Obama asked me to lead 6 years ago. Our goal is to cut cancer death rates by at least 50% over the next 25 years, and I think we can do better than that. Turn cancers from death sentences into treatable diseases. More support for patients and their families. To get there, I call on Congress to fund what I called ARPA-H, Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health, patterned after DARPA in the Defense Department. Projects that led in DARPA to the internet, GPS, and so much more to make our forces more safer and be able to wage war more with more
talking about
clarity.
ARPA and fucking State of the Union.
ARPA will have a singular purpose: to drive breakthroughs in cancer, Alzheimer's and diabetes, and more. A unity agenda for the nation. We can do these things. It's within our power.
Where's
and I don't
Steve?
see a partisan edge to any one of those four things. My fellow Americans, tonight
This dude's bored.
we've gathered in this sacred space, a citadel of democracy, in this Capitol. Generation after generation of Americans have debated great questions amid great strife and have done great things. We fought for freedom, expanded liberty, debated totalitarianism and terror. We built the strongest, freest, and most prosperous nation the world has ever known. Now is the hour, our moment of responsibility, our test of resolve and conscience, of history itself. It is in this moment that our character of this generation is formed. Our purpose is found. Our future is forged. Well, I know this nation. We'll meet the test, protect freedom and liberty, expand fairness and opportunity, and we will save democracy. As hard as those times have been, I'm more optimistic about America today than I've been my whole life, because I see the future that's within our grasp, because I know there's simply nothing beyond our capacity. We're the only nation on earth that has always turned every crisis we faced into an opportunity. The only nation that can be defined by a single word: possibilities. So on this night, on our 245th year as a nation, I've come to report on the state of the nation, the State of the Union. And my report is this: the State of the Union is strong because you, the American people, are strong. We are stronger today. We are stronger today than we were a year ago. And we'll be stronger a year from now than we are today. This is our moment to meet and overcome the challenges of our time. And we will, as one people, one America, the United States of America. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you. Go get him.
What? He said, go get him. Watch him fall.
Go, Bacha.
What to do, we can do it.
Beautiful.
Great speech.
Good speech. Good speech. Great speech, Joe. Great speech. Turn this down a little bit. Wow. Turn it down a little bit more. Okay. Okay. General. There he is. Chuck the Schmuck. As Pasta likes to call him. And I like to say, they're cutting the mic. Well, that was the biggest bullshit ever. They should do these State of the Unions fucking in front of like a crowd of people there. You know what I'm saying? So they could hear the heckling, because fucking people are not happy. People are not happy. Patting themselves on the back with all the things they want to do. You're supposed to talk about the things that have already been done. So fucking Joe looks like this guy. He literally looks exactly like this puppet. He looks exactly like this puppet. And the puppet is symbolic. Let's see if he goes shakes the Republican hands. Fucking these generals are always like fucking straight face. I'm ready to use the nukes. Well, then we'll nuke them. Something was said there. Something was said there. Something was said there. Some. I just heard that they took, yeah. Just patting themselves on the back. What a shit show. It's Maxine Waters, right? Shit's hard. Okay. Yes, I want the asteroid. I want the asteroid as well. Namaste, namaste. This is that was pretty. God, to me it really seemed like he was trying to campaign. When in the State of the Union, you're supposed to talk about what's been done already. Let's see, what did he say with Ukraine? I almost want to go back. There was something weird he said about the packing meat, something.
For the
There's
past
something
40
weird
years,
he said here.
we were told the tax break for those at the top and benefits would trickle
this would be
down
like
and
30
everyone would
minutes back.
benefit. But that trickle-down theory led to a weaker economic growth.
Oh, he only mentioned like the middle class. He only mentioned the middle class. Every time he talked about like, he was like, oh yeah, only the middle class. Like, what about the lower income class?
For our LGBTQ plus Americans, let's finally get the Bipartisan Equality Act to my desk.
Yeah, it's all about, oh God, it's so bad. It was so bad, man. Let me see, meat. Let me look up meat. There we go.
You got 4 basic meat packing facilities. And corporations have to compete. Their profits go up and your prices go up when they don't have to compete. Small businesses and family farmers and ranchers, I need not tell some of my Republican friends from those states. Guess what? You got 4 basic meat packing facilities. That's it. You play with them or you don't get to play at all. And you pay a hell of a lot more. A hell of a lot more because there's only 4. See what's happening with ocean carriers moving goods in and out of America.
That was just weird. I'm like,
Friends from those states.
Is he the first president to bring up the meat packing industry in the State of the Union?
Guess what?
Hold on, I gotta hear this again. I gotta hear
go
this
up
again.
when they don't have to.
Yeah. I think he's talking about.
And corporations have to compete. Their profits go up and your prices go up when they don't have to compete. Small businesses and family farmers and ranchers, I need not tell some of my Republican friends from those states. Guess what? You got 4 basic meat packing facilities. That's it. You play with them or you don't get to play at all. And you pay a hell of a lot more. A hell of a lot more because there's only 4. See what's happening with ocean carriers moving goods in and out of America. During the pandemic, about half a dozen or less foreign-owned companies raised prices by as much as 1,000% and made record profits. Tonight, I'm announcing a crackdown on those companies overcharging American businesses and consumers.
No one believes that shit. No one believes that you're gonna crack down on people. Y'all are funny in the chat. Someone said John Watson, Buttigieg was one of the 4. I'm not saying the whole thing. Yeah, no, that was weird. That they were talking about the meatpacking industry in the State of the Union, but I guess an example of monopolization. But he's not going to do anything about it. He can talk about it. He'll bring it up, And then people who tune into this shit tune into CNN and Fox News, and then they're like, there's our president. He's, people are fucking stuck in the matrix. Don't even want to do any research into any of the legislation or anything. Working people don't have time. / they're ignorant. I know this audience is not ignorant at all. And you've done the research and you watch people who do the research like us at Combo Couch and True Rebel Network. But, yeah, I mean, he's had a whole career as a senator, in Congress the whole time. There's been nothing there. Like, you can point back to legislation that you've done. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about in the State of the Union? Oh, they totally had like a setup. I remember watching Trump's the last State of the Union. He brought up Guaido. I remember that. That was bad. There was all these setup. Everything's planned and presented, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so for this one, Biden had that union worker, and it was a black union worker to show that he's got support from the unions. And then he's got the kid there for the insulin. Does anyone really believe they're going to lower insulin prices? Like, does anyone really believe that? I mean, let's see it. You can talk all this talk, but, let's see it. It's not going to happen. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm going to shout out some people. Combo Couch, Lucky Burrito, Namaste, Hunter Carranza, love you, Frank McGill-Cuddy, Keith M, JJ Wolf, Jesus, what up, Jesus, Super Patriot, Laws, 456, John Watson. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to play some music because I want to listen to music while we're doing this, because it's very depressing to listen to that and know that none of that's going to happen. None of that's going to happen. I'll get some cool vibes here. I don't think this will get copyrighted, but who we got? Beth B, how you doing? Nom Nom Yam. This is on Combo Couch. Get your ass over to True Rebel Network. Make sure you're over there, because we're going to be doing some things over there. Check out some of the work I've done. I've done some work on election integrity. Let me shout out True Rebel Network. I saw Reef in there. Reef Braylon. And Lucky Burritos in there. Let me make moderators here. Let's see here. Steve Cutler live. How you doing? Mariana, how you doing? And I will say the Spanish way. Steven Torres, what up? We got 10 viewers. Fuck yeah, 10 viewers. Hell yeah. With less than 1,000 subscribers, that's amazing. That's amazing on True Rebel Network. Matt Lucine. Yeah, so wasn't that such bullshit that they were just like patting themselves on the back while not getting fucking shit done? And this is why people hate politicians. I hate the politicians, man. We hate these politicians. We not like these politicians. We're talking about the working class. We're talking about people. We're talking about revolution. We're talking about the people who have come close to creating the working class alliances. And I forgot to shave, but how you doing? Miguel H, Snork Y2K, how you doing? Clifford Maxwell, Shasta Fog. Yeah, that's another thing that he brought up. He said he's going to secure that border. When there was Trump in office, there's kids in cages. The whole Democrats fucking went off and crazy about, there's kids in cages. And now it's secure the borders, get scanners on the border, They're investing in all this shit and not giving anything to the working class people of the United States here. This whole Ukraine stuff is kind of crazy. I wanted to do a show the other day, but I never got the chance to. So maybe I'm just going to show y'all what I've been seeing on Instagram. Here on my True Rebel Network Instagram. Let me see here if I can pull it up. How y'all doing? Malik Clary. Hey, how you doing? Soul Construct. OG Soul Construct. He's an OG guy at Combo Couch. Get your ass to. Okay, let's see here. True Rebel Network. Oh my gosh, did you guys see the fucking? I'm sure they covered it already, or maybe they haven't. But the shit that there's double standard for Ukrainians leaving, and like it's like literally like crazy. Like let me pull this up. So shout out to Light Record Media here. Let me pause this. That song was cool, right? Look up Vanilla. Okay, so Light Record Media. This isn't subtle racism. It says this is right in your face, and most white people watching this wouldn't even pause when they hear this. This mentality's been normalized, dude. When I heard this, I was like, "What the fuck?" So listen to this.
Or hope that it's going to happen. So it's partly human. Now with the Russians marching in, it's changed the calculus entirely. Tens of thousands of people have tried to flee the city. There will be many more. People are hiding out in bomb shelters. But this isn't a place, with all due respect, like Iraq or Afghanistan, that has seen conflict raging for decades. This is a relatively civilized, relatively European, I have to choose those words carefully too, city where you wouldn't expect that or hope that it's going to happen. So it's partly human.
This is, relatively civilized, unlike the Middle East, unlike Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, and fucking all the places the U.S. has destabilized for fucking decades. So basically the tweet that talked about this, I'm going to mute this fuck. What if I told you that every person in every city that gets sieged in Iraq and Afghanistan and Yemen and Palestine are just as normal and civilized as you think you are? It's true. I don't know why these people, I don't know who this guy was here, CBS News here, but that guy said that. He was like, these are civilized people crossing the border to get out of Ukraine. This isn't third world uncivilized people. You know what I'm saying? Like what? So you're seeing this double standard bullshit. So here's something else that's part of that post that Light Record Media put together on Instagram. White supremacy is when Europe has launched 2 world wars in the last century, but it's Iraq and Afghanistan, 2 nations relentlessly bombed by Western European nations for 40 years that are uncivilized. They didn't have the chance to build back up. You know what I'm saying? And this is how media dehumanizes by people of color and normalizes white supremacy. I mean, it normalizes anti-imperialism for sure. I mean, it normalizes imperialism. And there you go. I forgot the original for this one. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Who are you to call?
Me, I'm sorry. It's very emotional for me because I see European people with blue eyes and blonde hair being killed, children being killed every day with Putin's missiles and his helicopters and his rockets.
And so, of course, I understand and respect the emotion. What you are outlining there is this tension between longer-term efforts to apply pressure to Vladimir Putin, such as financial sanctions, and the very immediate military threat which you're experiencing.
Me, I'm sorry. It's very emotional for me because I see European people with blue eyes and blonde hair being killed, children being killed every day with Putin's missiles and his helicopters.
So you should care because it's blonde hair and blue-eyed people being killed now. So BBC just gets on fucking, this is probably a pro-Azov battalion, dude. And you all know about the Azov battalion covered in Convo Couch. I mean, do your own research. Just Google Azov battalion. Watch. Azov battalion. And boom. Is a right-wing extremist neo-Nazi Ukrainian National Guard unit. You look up pictures. There's pictures of them with the Seal Hague or whatever the fuck it's called. Where is it? They're doing the symbol. Oh, they must have scrubbed it off, even on DuckDuckGo. Sorry, I said Google. I meant DuckDuckGo it. Let's see. Where is it? Yeah. There's some of that. They got the Nazi symbol there. Yeah, y'all know about this. Y'all know about this. There it is. There's that picture. There's that infamous picture there. Oh, they blacked out some faces. The original one doesn't have it blacked out. There you go. Proudly. Look. It's the same logo. I've tweeted about this. Okay, so next thing here. So y'all know about the Azov Battalion. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you don't. If you haven't been keeping up, but shout out to everybody. So yeah, other than that, I mean, there's just some other things I've been seeing. What was I seeing? What else was I seeing here? I'm gonna just go over like the week in review of last week. Let me see here. So let me just go after that one. What I've seen here. Yeah, so I like this. I saw this. Big banks ensure we stay in debt. Big pharma ensures we stay sick. Weapon manufacturers ensure we stay at war. Legacy media ensures we stay ignorant. If you're only watching legacy media, you're going to stay ignorant. Government ensures it's all legal. Voting, Republican or Democrat, ensures it will all continue. And again, light record media here, sharing that. It's interesting graphic. I don't know if y'all agree. What y'all think about that? What you think about that, chat? What you think about that, chat? Let's get a little. Which one was it? Was it this one? Oh yeah, so here's the other thing that happened. The U.S. bombed Somalia that week, last week, and but I bet you didn't hear about it from the U.S. media. You know, they selectively tell you what to care about. If you're only watching mainstream media, propaganda, it's literally propaganda. You're ignoring what the U.S. is doing, only looking at what Russia's doing, right? Not to say that it's, war. If you're a pacifist, you're not going to like any war. You know what I'm saying? So the U.S. bombed Somalia this week, but I bet you didn't even hear about it from the U.S. media, just like you haven't heard about the U.S. facilitated genocide in Yemen. Yemen has slave... is it Yemen? I don't know. There's a slave trade somewhere in the past 6 years, but don't worry, they will tell you the truth about Ukraine, just like they did with that. Woo! Let me see here. Y'all saw this. This was disgusting. Azov fighters of the National Guard greased the bullets of lard against they called them orcs. They were calling the Muslim people orcs. This was from the official National Guard of Ukraine, NG Ukraine, as your National Guard Ukraine checkmark. You can go look it up. It's still there. I think it's still up. And they literally posted this from the official thing. You should see all the comments. People are like, what the fuck? So this was Richard Methers. Shout out to Dick Methers. Still doing his thing. Even though Press TV got taken down. Now RT's getting taken down in Europe. Off of Direct TV. Ukrainian National Guard greasing bullets and pork fat to kill Muslims with. And just right there on Twitter for you to see, and they say the neo-Nazi racist forces in Ukraine is a myth. That's another narrative that's been coming out. They're saying it's a myth, it's a myth, it's a myth. It's a myth that neo-Nazis there, or who cares? It's a small faction. Well, it's an acceptable, government-backed faction. That's okay with you? You know what I'm saying? How do these liberals, how are they okay with that shit? So, I mean, you see it there. That shit happened. That was a real thing. What else was a real thing? I saw this and I thought it was pretty funny. Let me stop the music here. I saw this. This is pretty funny. Damn, that's loud. Sorry about that. Let me see. So this Ukrainian TikToker uploads instructions on how to drive abandoned or captured Russian military videos. So look at this shit.
Стекла. Нажимаем сцепление. О! И включаем первую скорость. О!
What the like what? Isn't that crazy?
Если вдруг
Hold
вам
on, look at
попадется
this.
свободный или брошенный БТР, то сохраняй лайфхак, как его завести.
Включаем массу. Оба генератора. Теперь втыкаем обогатитель. Опа. Следующий у нас стартер. Все, завелся. Предохранители. Раз, два, три, четыре. А теперь фары и обдув стекла. Нажимаем сцепление. О! И включаем первую скорость. О!
Если вдруг вам попадется
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I don't even know what to think when I saw that. I'm like, this is just interesting that this happened in 2022, that there's people TikToking like that. So meanwhile, while the Western media wants you to focus on Ukraine, they don't want you to know about this. Where's the international outrage when this shit happens? Israel, Palestine. I don't know if y'all saw this. I saw this the other day. Let me see. So in Palestine, Munawar Burkhan, is a special needs girl, was hit with a stun grenade in her face while she was with her family in a Damascus gate today. She's now with a broken jaw and deep wounds in her face. And this shit's happening all the time. But the media, the mainstream media, doesn't want you to know. The Western media, they don't show this. They don't show you this. They control what you care about. If you only watch mainstream media, they control what you care about. This is why it's propaganda. So there's one more post after this, and let me pull it up real quick, where she's in the hospital getting treatment here. So here she is getting treatment. That's her in the hospital. Poor girl.
هاي مي تخفيش مي نظيفة هاي سبي بعطوكي هني كمان أواعي نضاف وكل إشي عشان تفوتي تغيري جوا مي كلها مي معلش هاي مي تخفيش مي نظيفة هاي.
So the caption says, yeah, it's the same thing, same caption, broken jaw. And she's the second person with special needs who was terrorized by the Israeli occupation forces this month. And that's just an ongoing genocide that's going on over there, Israel, Palestine. And I don't know if you guys have seen that documentary, Gaza Fights for Freedom. That was a great documentary. I think everybody should watch that because there was a lot of things in there that I had no idea about. No idea. Like they're cutting off water. They're controlling how much water goes to each person. They're it's an open air prison, basically, is what they say. And there's a lot of information there and facts. It's called Gaza Fights for Freedom. This was an interesting post I saw. So this is Scott Ritter, who maybe some of you have heard about. And he's a former UN weapons inspector. Explains that NATO is an offensive alliance and breaks down the double standards of U.S. and NATO leaders. And this was on Mint Press News. So this was with Dan Cohen. And shout out to Dan Cohen. So look at this.
National law, doing the exact same thing that they're accusing Russia of doing now. NATO said, oh, you can't create these independent states of Lugansk and Donetsk. Well, yes, you can, because you guys created the independent state of Kosovo, carved it right out of Serbia, again, with no founding in international law, nothing. And then NATO went on to basically legitimize the illegal invasion and occupation of Iraq, even though NATO as an organization didn't participate. Several NATO members did. And in 2004, a few months after the occupation, NATO legitimized the occupation by creating the NATO training mission in Iraq. You know, people keep saying Russia's the aggressor. They had no choice. What do you call an ostensibly defensive military alliance which lies about its intentions to expand in a post-Cold War era and then goes on the offensive, bombing a European capital, Belgrade? I mean, everybody's sitting there going, oh, Kiev is being bombed, first time in Europe. No, NATO bombed Belgrade without any authority from the Security Council in violation of international law, doing the exact same thing that they're accusing Russia of doing now. NATO said, oh, you can't create these independent states of Lugansk and Donetsk. Well, yes, you can, because you guys created the independent state of Kosovo, carved it right out of Serbia, again, with no founding in international law, nothing. And then NATO went on to basically legitimize the illegal invasion and occupation of Iraq, even though NATO as an organization didn't participate. Several NATO members did. And in 2004, a few months after the occupation, NATO legitimized the occupation by creating the NATO training mission in Iraq. You know, people keep saying Russia's the aggressor.
Boom. So there's a lot of info there. Trust Men Press, they're a great outlet. And definitely Dan Cohen. Dan Cohen's on point, man. He's on point. So that's basically just a little bit of what I had there. I mean, I guess I can go over some of the stuff I wanted to go over here. Let me think. Put some music on while I do this. This is on the fly. I was like, oh, the State of the Union's on tonight. I'm like, I should watch that. I'm trying to find this song I like here. Which one was it? Oh, this one. So give me a second while I find this stuff here. There's a music that you can find. Give me 1 second.
The first thing I want to say
Well, it's gonna take a while. Let me just do this. See if I can find it.
Well, the first thing I want to say
Looks like I didn't save it. That's all right. We're gonna scrap it. All right, so that's basically it. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Shout out to everybody who's in here. Slow Jam the News, Soul Construct, how you doing? What up, Hunter? Turkey Day, Mexican Reformist, interesting. Try putting aims ahead music. Jonny on point as usual. Clifford Maxwell, how you doing? Thank you. Love you too. Turkey Day, how you doing? Alex Marima. Rylan Maher. Want to serve genocide in Kosovars. I have no idea, man. Honestly, I'm not informed in that foreign policy there. Frank McGill-Cuddy. This is on a daily basis in Palestine. Not a fucking word. Exactly. Because who funds Israel? Who funds Israel? Who, did y'all hear about that UN vote? Did you hear about that UN vote where, I'm going to do some more research on that. I might do a segment on that. There was a UN vote about fucking getting rid of, denouncing Nazis or something, and the U.S. and Israel voted no on it, while everybody else voted yes. Clifford Maxwell says change.org has a damn petition to remove RT from YouTube circulating. Yeah. Saul Construct, shout out to you. What joke, Creed? Let me find your joke. One driver asked how much is most the other Americans given. He replied about 5 gallons. I don't get it. Well, shout out to everybody here. I'm revealing my music sources. Put this on while you're doing some work and you'll get some work done. But yeah, shout out to everybody who came through. Watch State of the Union with me. Shout out to you. True Rebel Network. Sign up to get subscribed to True Rebel Network. This is my favorite part here, Rise. Sign up to True Rebel Network and get your shit together. Check out some of my work on there, man. You'll see what I was doing. It was up Dean Logan's ass in Los Angeles elections here. I'm still gonna be up his ass. The elections are coming up again. Los Angeles, largest county in the country. 5th largest economy in the world in California, and their elections were a fucking shit show. If they can't get the elections right, how are other people getting it right? You know what I'm saying? So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Check out some of my work on True Rebel Network. I'll pull it up here. Boom. There you go. Look it up. Get on there. We're close to 1,000. Give me a stack. Give me a stack of subscribers. More shit coming. Make sure you check this out. I did that the other day. 12 days ago. Woo! Wow, time flies, man. Black Panthers worked with Confederate flag wearing YPO, did they? Ooh. Medicare for March for All, that was a few months ago. Man, there's been so much stuff we've done. There was proof of Capitol Police days before, like surrounding the protesters, 30, 40 people. And they brought out so many cops for that, but then when January 6th happened, like, there was nothing, you know? Covered that on the Combo Couch. Covered anti-capitalist Beverly Hills protest led by James Butler, who's no longer an activist. He's no longer an activist. Here's some of my election work. Transporting ballots on a Sunday with one person running the ballots. And that's not right. How is that legal? How is that happening? So there you go. Documented in 2020 Los Angeles general election. There's me at the manual tally. There's all this shit that you don't know about. Here's some of the edited video work I've done. Police brutality here. Anti-capitalists, I put Medicare for All there because capitalists do not want Medicare for All. Thank you for tuning in. Take care, everybody. Love you all. Keep tuning in to the Combo Couch. Keep tuning in to True Rebel Network. We're going to keep going. I wanted to go to Ukraine. I want to go to Canada. I might go see this convoy. Everyone who's watching now, be on the lookout for that. I might go see that. Peace out, everybody.